G'day all, welcome back to Dad vs Son, and we're about to start a playthrough of Great War Commander from Hexasim. We're going to start with Scenario 1, which I thought was a good place to start, and this is Birth of a Legend. The situation report is Bleed, Belgium, 22 August 1914. After crossing wet terrain and cutting down barbed wire fences along the way, the 124th Infantry Regiment reached attack position at Hill 325. Hidden by a heavy fog, the German troops assaulted directly into the town. Bitter street fighting drove out the French defenders. Lieutenant Rommel later reports, "We now rushed from building to building. Wherever we ran into the enemy, he either surrendered or took cover in the building recesses, from which he was soon routed. In a side street, I rushed forward to a church from which heavy rifle fire was being directed at us. Making use of available cover and rushing from house to house, we approached the enemy. As we advanced to the assault, he gave way, retreated westward, and was soon lost in the fog. The horrors of war had swept over this town in the middle of nowhere. Many houses had been shot to pieces or were in flames. The bodies of French and German soldiers and Belgian civilians lay everywhere." Okay, so we start at time 2 with sudden death at 8. The victory point marker starts at 1 on the French side. The Germans are attacking. They have 2 orders, 3 discards. And the initiative, the French are defending, 2 orders, 1 discard. There is no open objective, and I have drawn a secret objective for each side. And as usual, I have not looked at them, as I use that as a fog of war, where battalion or regiment has come across further intel later on, but it hasn't filtered forward to the poor old buggers on the front line. Objective control. At the start, the French hold 4 of the 5 objectives, but objective 2 is held by no one and is up for grabs at the head of this gully. The Germans set up last 1 hex deep. I've set them up, and the French set up as per the special rules, where we have a French leader in M1 and L3, and then we can put a lined platoon with each of them, and then the other platoons are placed as per the instructions. And I've placed their only heavy weapon, a Saint-Étienne machine gun here, which has a relatively good field of fire. The forces are equivalent. There are 2 leaders and 7 platoons with 1 heavy machine gun to each side. The only difference being is both German leaders have a command radius of 2, the same as Lieutenant Antoine, but Lieutenant Lebasse only has a command radius of 1. The Germans, for the assault, I've set them up as 2 separate companies. Over on their right flank, we have Lieutenant Rommel, who I take this is the birth of a legend, with 3 Fusiliers. The idea is to come up here, assault, and take objective 5 on the French left flank and help to roll them up. On the right, we have Hartmann Waldau with 4 Fusiliers and their machine gun, the idea being for them to get up into the gully, take objective 2 and roll up the French right flank. My plan is for the machine gun with this platoon of Fusiliers to move up into the crater. That will give them 1 cover, and then they can provide fire onto the French. Surrender is at 6 for both sides, so again, fairly evenly matched. This die here is to remind me that due to the fog, there is 1 hindrance across the whole battlefield up until time 6. So that's all that's for. The French cannot advance off the any map edge. If they do, then they're simply eliminated and do not get any victory points. The Germans can advance up off the French map edge at J1 and M1 and gain victory points for that. The biggest thing with this game set is cohesion, where if a unit is out of the zone, the command radius of a leader, then they become suppressed. And this is simply due to the level of communication, training, and everything else, especially at the start of the war, where it was very hard to control your people. The exceptions to that are, if a unit is on an objective, it will remain in cohesion. As I said, if it's with a leader, it will remain in cohesion. If it has an unbroken weapon, it will also remain in cohesion. So at the end, if we said the French had just had their turn and we did a cohesion check, then this guy, and this guy would be out of cohesion. The other exception, sorry, I forgot, was if you're on your board edge, like this guy, then you remain in cohesion as well. So that's about that. So we get 6 cards for the Germans since they're attacking. We get 4 cards for the French defending. And strategy card wise, I'll draw them now. We have Sturmabteilung d'Or for the Germans, which is only from 1916 to 1918, so they can only use this card to add 1 to a single die roll. For the French, they have French 75s, off-board field guns, rapid fire in support of defence, break an enemy telephone, this cannot eliminate it. So again, there is no artillery in this, nobody has any radios, so again, the French can only use this to add 1 to a die roll. And I think that's about it. So let's get into it. Germans up first. And they have a move, a recover, a rout, an artillery request, another move, and a fire. Okay. So what do we want to do with these? Okay, so I suppose let's move. That'd be a good idea. So our first move is going to be with Lieutenant Rommel and his people. So I'm going to activate all them. This platoon here will move 1 forward. Now there is a line of sight down through here. We have 2, I believe. Yeah, 2 hindrance through the avenue. It's treated the same way as an orchard. So 2 hindrance through it, and whilst they're in it, they have 1 cover. So this guy could shoot through here if he wished, if they have a card. Range of 1, 2, 3, 4, so it's in range. Or the machine gun could shoot through here again as well. It has plenty of range. So let's see if they can physically do anything about it. And they do have 1 fire. Okay. Righto. So, from the French point of view, do we fire on these people when these people may move forward and they're out in the open and the machine gun can get them? Whereas if we don't fire on these people, then they can diddly bop the whole way up here to objective 5, maybe get into these trees, these buildings. And I think we've got to take the chance on these guys as a first up. So we are going to opportunity fire with the French. And as I only have, excuse me, the 1 fire order, it's no good saving the machine gun to fire over here. I should probably fire over here with the machine gun. The only trouble with that being is that once they get to sort of here, he can't bring any fire, whereas at least he can bring fire the whole way up. So I'm actually going to fire with this guy. He's got 2 less firepower, but I think it's worthwhile. So he's going to fire. He fires for 5. -1 would be the usual hindrance for the fog, but we have a hindrance of 2 through the avenue, so he's firing for 3. +10, 13, not too bad, and we have a French event. And the event is Recon. Your opponent must reveal a secret objective. So let's see what the German secret objective is straight up. And it is Objective A, where Objective 1 is worth 1 VP. And Objective 1 is held by the French at the moment, so they'll collect 1 VP, taking them up to 2. Righto, so we have blah, blah, blah. What do they say? He's firing for 3 plus 10, 13. Into here. This bloke's there for 8. We do have a couple of probes that we can use if need be, but let's see how we go. So he's there for 8 plus 4 is 12, not enough. So he is broken. Okay, I'm not going to use a probe on that at the moment. Or am I or not? Am I or not? Am I or not? No, I'm not. Okay, next to move will be Rommel and this Fusilier, and they will go 1. We're in range. 2 hindrance, again firing for 3. +5 is 8. This guy's here for 10 already. +9, so he's safe, and we have a German event, which is Recall Leader. Remove the leader, the friendly leader nearest to your map edge. Holy sugar. If I hadn't moved him, I could have used that. So I've just lost my Hauptmann, and he won't come back till time 3 now. That's going to screw everything over here. Okay, so he's safe. Rommel's there for 9. +11, so he's good. They move up again, and they're going to move onto the avenue. That still only cost them 1 to move, so they've moved 2. He can still fire, but he's firing still through here, so it's a hindrance of 2. So he's firing for 3. +8 is 11. But now they have 1 cover as well. So this guy is here for 11. +8 is fine. Rommel is here for 10. +7 is fine. And we have a German sniper hitting at F3. And F3 is right here. So he's going to take out this French line platoon. Righto, so we have 1, we have 2, we get our freebie up to here. This guy can fire again. There is no hindrance this time. Yes, there is, sorry. Hex sides are included. So we still have 2 hindrance, so he's again firing for 3. +8, so 11 again. Again, he's here for 11. +7 and is fine. Rommel's there for 10. +8, so he's fine. We have another German event, which is Auftragstaktik. You may displace a friendly leader and any friendly unit stacked with him into an adjacent hex. So we will. We'll displace him to there. So they've moved 1 and a freebie. They move here for 2 now and take control of this objective. Objective 5. Again, we can fire, but again we have the 2 hindrance due to the hex side. So again, he's firing for 3. Plus 8. He seems to be drawing a lot of 8s. So we have 11 again. So this time what we have is he's here for 10. Minus 1 for the road is 9. Plus 9 is 18, and he's fine. And Lieutenant Rommel is here for 8. Plus 8 is 16, and he's fine as well. So they've gone 1, 2, freebie, freebie, 3. They will go 3, and they'll go up into the trees here for 4, 5. And again, he can fire, and now we just have a hindrance of 1. So he's going to fire for 4. Plus 5 is 9. And we have the Fusilier platoon in here for 10, 11, 12, and 8. So fine. And Rommel is in there for 11, plus 5, and he's fine as well. And they're finished, which leaves this little Fusilier here, who is going to go 0 to here. We fire again. We have a hindrance of 1 this time. So he's firing for 4. Plus 4 is 8. He's getting a bit tired working that bolt. This guy is here for 8 plus 1 is 9. And 6 more is tons. He moves here for 1. We now have 2 hindrance, so firing for 3. Plus 11 is 14. And we have a French sniper hitting at D10. And D10 is right here, so he's going to take out our Fusilier with the machine gun. And I am going to use a probe for that. So he was broken, and he is back. Is that right? Sorry. No, there is no defense roll, so I can't do that. Scratch that. No defense roll. So he cannot use that. Okay. Righto, so we're into here. Again, firing for 14 this time. We're in here for 9. Plus 2 is 11, which is no good. So, yes, we will use our probe this time because it is a defense roll. This bloke is broken and comes back again. So he's gone 0, he's gone 1, he goes 2. We still have 2 hindrance, firing for 3. Plus 9 is 12. Again, he's in here for 9. Plus 10 is buckets. 0, 1, 2. Moves up here for 3. Fires again. There's no hindrance this time, so he's firing for 5. Plus 3 is 8. He's getting very tired. And our man is there for 9. Plus 9, 18. He's fine. 0, 1, 2, 3. He goes 4 to here. Again, we fire. No hindrance for 5. And 6 is 11. And now our man is out in the open on a road, so he's there for 8. Minus 1 for the road is 7. Plus 5 is 12, which is enough. And he's got one more move. He goes up the road. He's now in the buildings. We fire again. Hindrance of 1 for 4. Plus 3 is 7. And our little man there is there for 11. And 3 is 14. And that finishes the first order for the Germans. And we'll get rid of that French card. Okay, so the idea of moving these guys is gone. So we have a fire, a rout, a recover that we can use. Okay, so the best bet I can do at the moment is to recover. So our second order will be to recover. Let's try and recover our machine gun first. He's there for 9. And we get a 10, so he's stuffed. And our bloke over here for 9. And he is good. And we have a German sniper shooting at D3, which is all the way over here and does nothing. And that is the end of the Germans' first turn. They get 3 new cards. And then we look at their cohesion. All these people are on their board edge, the German board edge, so remaining cohesion. This guy is not. So he ends up suppressed because he is not on the board edge, not on an objective, and not within a command radius. Righto. So now we're up to the French, and they've got a HMG suppress, an artillery request, and a command confusion. Okay. So the HMG suppress, we could use our HMG here to suppress 2 of the units over here, or this one guy here. Or, because that has a concealment on it, which may come in very handy at the moment, I can get rid of the command confusion. It's much of a muchness. These blokes can't do much at the moment, so I'm going to get rid of the command confusion, and they'll get 2 new cards. We have a quick look to see if there's any defense stuff on it, and there is no defender only information. And we're back to looking at the French, and we now have to look at them for cohesion, and he is out of cohesion. He is, and our little broken guy over here is also suppressed. Everybody else has a weapon, is on the board edge, or with a leader. And we're back to the Germans. Fire, rout, artillery request, and have picked up a fire, an advance, and another fire. No recovery. Bugger. Okay. So I think our best bet to start with, as silly as it may sound, is to advance. And I'm going to advance our Fusilier with his machine gun up into there. That at least gives him 1 cover. And that's our first order. Our second order, we have fires, and we can fire in on this guy. And I think that's what we're going to do. Okay, we have nothing to add to it, but we are going to fire. Activate Rommel. So we have 7, 8 across here. -1 is 7 for the hindrance. Plus 10, 17. Rommel's got pissed off. So we have 17 into this guy here, who is in here for 6. Plus 3 is 9. And do they have anything to help? They do have a concealment. Okay, and we're up against 17 for 9, so we are going to use it. We're going to use this concealment to reduce the attack by 3, down to 14. So we have a 14 attack into here now, and he's in there for 9. Plus 7 is 16, so we got away with it. And that's the end of the German turn. So get rid of their cards. They get 2 new cards. And this bloke now becomes suppressed, which I suppose realistic, if I left him there, he would have been in the same boat, because he's now +1, -1. But there, it doesn't really matter. He's in where I wanted him, which is the main thing. Right, the French have 3 cards left. An artillery request, a rout, and a fire. So they could try and rout this guy, and with an 11, he's gone. So do we want to do that first, or we want to fire first onto him? Let's fire first. Let's do this. We're trying to knock him out. So we're going to fire with our machine gun. Fires for 7, -1 for the hindrance is 6. I have nothing to add to it. 6 + 5 is 11. It's pretty useless. And he's in here for 9. +1 for the shell holes, -1 for the suppress, so 9. +6, so he's fine. And we have a German event, which is Auftragstick. You may displace a friendly leader and any friendly units stacked with him into an adjacent hex. So all I'm going to do is displace the leader into the building here. That gives him 1 more cover. So I think that's worthwhile. And the French have rout. So we want better cards, so we're going to use this. And try and rout this German here. So again, he's there for 9, so we want a 10 or better. And we get an 8. No good. And that's the end of the French turn. 3 new cards for them. Quick look for defender stuff. Nothing there. And we're back to the Germans. Time is 26, so we're doing okay. So they started with 2 fires, a rout, and an artillery request, and have picked up a fire and a recover. Okay, so let's do our fire first. So we are going to fire. Again, we're going to fire into here. So again, we have 7 +1 is 8 into here. -1 for the hindrance is 7. I have nothing to add to it. 7 and 6, 13. Okay, so this guy is now here for 6. And 3 is 9. And do the French have anything to help? They do have a probe if we need it. Okay, so in here for 9. Oh, +11, he's fine. And we have a French sniper hitting at E6. E6 is here, does nothing. Righto, so that's the first order for the Germans. They've got 1 more order to give. Do I do the recover? If I do, this will come off and we'll go back on again. This will come off and go back on again, but we may be able to at least flip him over. He still won't be able to use his machine gun, but that's better than nothing. Or do I leave him as he is and bank on him surviving? I can't afford to bank on him surviving, so we're going to do the recover. We'll remove the suppression markers. He's in here for 10. We draw a 5, so he is recovered. But then it's the end of the German turn and becomes suppressed along with this guy again. And the Germans get 2 new cards and we're back to the French. Now the French have an offensive, which is handy. And I think that's what we're going to do, to try and get over here and do something with these guys. I could bring this one down to here. There's no line of sight. Nothing can reach them. And then I could bring them here, and they would have a line of sight to shoot here, and that would bring both of these into the command radius of Lieutenant Antoine. But these guys would get a shot in first. Or I can bring these guys down. Well, there's nothing here that can really affect them. They can't shoot up that way or anything else, and that might be actually the best idea. So we are going to do an offensive as our first. We're going to activate Lieutenant Labus and his line platoon here, so they can move 6. So if they move to here, there is no line of sight due to these buildings. So it's a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 into here. And that brings at least this guy in to the fold. Righto, next up we have a fire, and I would like to keep it, that's for sure, but I think I need to use it. So I am going to fire with the machine gun, and I am going to add +2 with marksmanship. So he's now firing for 9, -1 is 8 into here. So we have 8 + 9, 17. Righto. So we have this guy in here. He's at +1, -1, so he's in here for 8. Do we have anything to help him? We do have a probe if necessary. So we have 17 coming in. We have 8 here. 8 and 7 is 15, which is not enough, but we do have an event first, which is blaze. Place a blaze marker into the building or woods hex closest to a random hex. And the random hex is G11, which is here. So let's just put a blaze there to start with, so I can then work it out. So we have G11. The closest woods or building. So we have, these are not woods. So we have woods up here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to a building. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the building. It's got to go into here. So we do have a blaze there. Righto. Okay, so this guy was hit. And we will use our probe. He's back again. Back. Not broke back. Okay, and that's the end for the French, who will get 3 new cards. They do have another defender thing on there, so that's fine. And we're back to the Germans. They have 5 cards remaining. 2 fires, a rout, artillery request, artillery request. And I can't fire with them. They're all out of range. I could only fire with these guys into here, but I can use one of these artillery requests for a action, so I'm going to fire. So we are going to fire. Again, Lieutenant Rommel and his people. So we have 7, 8 into here, so that's 7. And we're going to use this to add 2 to it when firing or a melee, which gives us 9 plus 11 is 20. Rommel is getting peeved. He wants this bloke gone. Okay, what can the French do about that? And the answer is absolutely nothing. So this guy is in here for 6 and 3 is 9. He needs an 11 just to stay suppressed, or a 12 to beat it. And he only gets a 7, so he is broken. Righto. So what can the Germans do? They can't fire at anybody else. We could rout. Try and rout this guy. He's there for 7 and 3 is 10. It's just a way to get rid of a card. And I think it's worthwhile. So we're going to try and rout this guy and this guy. We'll start here. Like I said, 7 and 3 is 10. And we have 10, so he just remains suppressed. But we have a German event, which is Valor. A friendly unit adjacent to an enemy formation becomes a veteran. We have no friendly units adjacent, so it doesn't happen. Then we have this guy over here again, sitting there for 10. We draw a 7 and nothing happens there either. So that is it for the Germans. We do our cohesion check again. They're fine. He's already suppressed, and fine up here. So we get 4 new cards for the Germans. And we're over to the French with a command confusion, 2 artillery requests, and a fire. I can only discard 1 card, so I am going to discard this artillery request. It's got to dig in, but I don't really need to dig in anywhere. So getting rid of that, 1 new card for them. And we're back to the Germans, who have a fire, artillery request. They've picked up a fire, an offensive, an artillery request, and a move. Right. No recover. Okay. I cannot use offensive over here because I don't have a leader. I could use offensive here and try this sneaking up through the buildings sort of thing. How far could I get? This guy can move 5, so he could go 3, and that's it, or that's it effectively. And these guys could go 3 to here, and they could go 3 again, and that would keep him in control, but then I'm leaving this free. So I think what I'm going to do to start with what I could do with the offensive is move to here with these guys. And I could then move this guy here. He'd be swinging in the breeze again, but that would let me bring a fire group onto here with the offensive. So first up, let's do a move. So we're going to move, and what I'm going to try and do is get this guy up there. So he can move 4. So I'm going to go 1 to here. Now the machine gun can shoot at him, but this is the last time it can shoot at him at the moment. This bloke can't shoot, so do we want 1 shot at this guy? Is what it comes down to. Or do we hold off? Do we have anything else? No, we don't. If I hold off on not using the fire, then he's not going to be able to do jack, because the best he could shoot at is a 1, but he has 0 range because he has -1 for range. So it's 1 shot at this guy or nothing. And I think 1 shot at that guy is at least better than nothing. So we're going to take the opportunity fire. We fire for 7, -2 is 5. We have nothing to add to that. We have 5 plus 6 is 14, and we have a French sniper who is going to hit at L10. Over here does nothing. Okay, so we have 14 into here. Now, we do have a go to ground that we could use for him. So we have 14 into here, and he's here for 7. In fact, he picks up the 1 cover for being behind here, doesn't he? Which I've forgotten about. You don't have to be in there for cover. He's behind it, so he still gets cover. Because we just have hindrance through, so we'd have cover as well. Is that right? Or do we have cover only in there? I'm taking it that we only have cover in there. We have hindrance through, cover in. Yes, because that's how fences and that work, isn't it? You have hindrance through or a cover if they're up against it. So we have the hindrance through this. So that's fine. So we're shooting in here for 14. He is there for 7. Do we go to ground? This is the only shot we're going to get at him. So we are going to go to ground, which means we put shell holes where he is, which gives him 1 cover. So he's now there for 8 again. Plus 9, he would have been fine either way. So he's moved 1. He moves 2. They can't shoot at him. He moves 3. They still can't shoot at him. And he's going to stop there for the time being. 2. No, in fact, he'll come into here for 3. That gives him 1 cover. And he'll stop there. He's in the command radius of Lieutenant Rommel, and the shell holes stay there. Done. Right, so next, do we move into here and try an offensive into here? And I think that is a worthwhile thing. So we're going to do it. We're activating Lieutenant Rommel and his people. They move into here. The French do not have another fire order, and this guy moves into here. Dangerous, but worth a go. Okay, this guy is already activated, so he can't form part of it. So we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 into here with no hindrance. And nothing to add to it. So 9 and 4, 13. But we do have a German sniper which hits at A7. All the way over here, does nothing. So this guy, nothing to help at all in there. He's in there for 7 and 3 is 10. Plus 7, 17, and he's fine. Okay, and that is it for the Germans. They'll get 3 new cards. We're back to the French. We'll do the French turn and then call it quits there. So the French have 2 artillery requests and a command confusion. And they can't do anything with any of those. There's 2 actions that I'd love to be able to use, but I can't do it. So I'm going to get rid of this artillery request, discard 2 new cards for the French. Nothing on them that's useful, and we're back to the German turn, and we'll call it quits on this video at 44 minutes, which is, I think, is fair enough. So we're at time 2 VP for the French at the moment. A lot of pressure over here on this poor little bloke here. But the Germans have been totally stymied over here with losing the Hauptmann back to headquarters. So that whole push is gone. You know, I've had a couple of offences I could have used, which I wanted to use to get them up into that bloody gully and bring some pressure before Lieutenant Labusque got over here. But it just didn't work. The French still have this holding force here, which is good. Will help to stop the Germans just running up here. But if the Germans then decide to run up around this way, they have virtually a clear run up and off the board, which is a bit nasty for the French. So thanks for watching. Hope you're enjoying. Take care, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.